Ornamental rhubarb.
The ornamental rhubarb, this was the original plant right here, and you see the big stems from it, and there's lots of little bits. These other ones around us here are seedlings. They actually seed themselves. I dug 2 of them out of here last night. They were in the path, and there will be more sprouting. So what I'm going to do is dig up some of the old stuff here and pot them up because, again, there's lots of old and rotten stuff. So again, it's worthwhile after stuff has been there long enough with rhubarb, you get some of the old rotten, get rid of it. And as long as we've got some good roots there.
I'm trying to figure out where in my yard to put one.
Yeah. So I'm going to dig a chunk. It probably has an amazing root system underneath it. Well, I know it does.
Oh, yeah.
But again, some of these other tools will be perfect for this. So, I mean, look at the size of some of that root, and a bunch of that is rotten.
Yeah.
So again, we just as well clean it off. And I'll use some of my chopping tools. The hatchet, again, comes in really handy. So I'm actually going to take off most of the old stuff so I can get rid of that. Now, if if you're a naturopath or whatever, has medicinal uses in China and Russia. That's what they grew rhubarb for, not for eating. So I'm cleaning this off, and you see, well, that is still good, solid stuff, but I'm pulling away some of the old rotted bits and pieces from that, which you want to do, get rid of that. And I'm going to cut this into chunks, and each chunk should grow quite nicely. We got lots of food here. If it were edible rhubarb, we would not be, from chunks like this that we replanted, we would not normally be eating any of the stems from it because it needs to get reestablished and grow some new roots on it. So let's see.
Is that like 4 years, they say?
Well, it kind of depends on how big a chunk you have and how much root you have. So like next year, again, you feed it heavily. Dump the horse manure on it. Next year, maybe get a few stems. The year after, a bit more.
Right.
Then you start looking at how much you have. And some sort of a rule of thumb, maybe you can harvest maybe 20 to 30% of the stems as they get bigger and bigger.
That's what I've read too, yeah. A little hatchet.
And it's really hollow, they're hollow inside. If you think back, dig into the botany a little bit, it is distantly related to knotweed, which has hollow stems and chambers in the stem.
Yep.
And that woody as that is. And I could use that just as is to plant, or...
And is that just with the decorative rhubarb, or is that also with, eating rhubarb?
Having trouble here.
I have never eaten it. I don't know. It ought to be... I don't know if, the edible stuff has been selected more. This is supposedly wild somewhere in, I don't know, Russia or China, northern China, or something like that, I guess. So I have never eaten it, because I got plenty of the regular stuff. So I don't know.
I guess I was asking, is the edible rhubarb also have hollow? I guess when the stem comes up, it's hollow.
Oh yeah,
as well.
right.
So.
Well, right here's the flower stem starting to come up there. So yeah, it still hasn't grown out enough quite yet. But there you go. You can see it. Well, it definitely is hollow, of course. Of course it's hollow.
Kind of like
Yes.
pushki, wild
Much
celery, cow parsnip.
Yeah.
Like pushki, like bamboo, like Japanese knotweed. Very similar. So those are all plantable chunks, just like that. Again, that one could be smaller, and that one could go in, and they'll be spectacular next year. Feed them heavy.
Feed them heavy. All right.
We're going to move. This is a Rogersia, which came from China that I actually collected the seeds of, but we're going to dig up a different one of that. That one I want to leave. And this Chinese monkshood. Likewise, I collected seeds of those 20 years ago. Wow, long time ago. So this is one of several species of Rogersia, and there's no common name that I know other than Rodger's plant. And it spreads by underground rhizomes spreading out. So what I'm going to do is actually go after it, and there's quite a mound here. It mounds up and it spreads out. And I'm going to go out to the outer edges to start with and see what I dig up. And we'll separate it from the mother plant. And it usually breaks loose. So again, there's quite the size, lengthy rhizome where it was attached to the mother. And so right there we got a trophy, and you see there's new shoots there that could come up this year. Grows large. It's a kind of dinosaurish looking plant. You know, if you can do the close up to the texture, it's really cool leaf texture on it.
I will.
And there's more shoots. You start digging down, and there's more of them spreading here, waiting to go out. Again, it's another one. In China, we saw women coming down the mountain at the end of the day with these huge piles of it on their backs, and they would use it to feed the yaks.
Oh, wow.
The leaves. You know, they'd cut the leaves off and do that. It's not edible to us as far as I know. But yeah. So there's a chunk of it with the rhizome. There's a little sprout there. There was a sprout there. So these, again, can be potted or planted. You know, they're growing in moist, fairly muskeggy soil here. And does very well in Juneau, let's put it that way.
Right.
You know, so if you want to reinforce a bank, this would be the sort of thing that might grow with the Japanese butterbur in the same kind of conditions, kind of moist, mucky soil, shady conditions. And it grows up, some of it, well, there's a stem from the flower stem. There's the flower buds there that kind of looks, and it is actually, I think it's related to, I'll have to look that up, related to the saxifrage. So but it looks kind of like an astilbe on steroids. You know, at least the flower stalk. I mean, it grows up small, makes a great cut flower, and actually dries really well too.
Oops.
You know, so it's a interesting, different, strange plant.
Would you plant it with like fuki?
I think that would fuki would probably overwhelm it.
Yeah.
You know, just shade it out because it grows even larger.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, same kind of conditions.
Right.
You might grow it in though, for that. So I guess there's a hosta there. That one can be divided too while we're here.
Does it
You can see it escaping underneath the boards out into the path.
Yeah, it loves it here.
Oh yeah. This one I've had 6 or 7 years. I actually I know somebody who wants some.
And this was like part sun, part shade, sort of like okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like the ornamental
And so
rhubarb.
again, you know, something like the try not to lose tools. So something like the hosta here, you know, can take part shade and can certainly take full sun. I mean, I've seen hostas growing in full sun in Chicago, which is about as hot and humid, you know, 90 degrees and
some varieties of hostas do better in the sun, probably than others.
Yeah, there are. And some hostas are more slug resistant, especially the ones that have these more solid colored ones, although, I don't know, some of the ones that have a bit of the yellow in them seem to be fairly good. The ones with white, I think the ones with white are more attractive to slugs. So again, it's with the hostas, if you dig up the whole clump, it's nice. You can wash it all off, then you can actually cut carefully in between it. In this case, there's none of that careful part that I'm going to be using, really. You know, I'm going to go right down into the center of this and cut down again, with a sharp shovel, yeah, right. Now they don't break the shovel. Dig a chunk out of there.
That looks like a nice aged Hosta.
Oh yeah.
My friend gave me a clump, and when it grew in the next year, it was like I had bought a 10-year-old plant.
Yeah. Well, something like this,
I didn't know what to expect. I was like, wow.
Right. A lot
That
of
was pretty
times with
cool.
these, and it includes rhubarb too. If you just want a piece, somebody wants to give you a piece, or you're sharing it. You dig a chunk out like this. Let's pull it out there. Deal with it. Throw some compost in the hole, and by the end of summer, it won't look any different because you haven't disturbed all those other roots around it.
Oh, by not digging it all the way out?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah. So
Nice.
if you dug the whole clump out, then of course you'd be cutting the ends off the roots. That would slow it down a bit.
Right.
You know. So again,
Yeah.
you can see.
Quarter samples.
Future pyro rollers. Nice muck there.
Yeah.
If we wash that ever so nicely, it'd be easy to tell. And oh, look at that! There's even a tag. I can tell what kind it's called. Olive Bailey Langdon is the variety. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, my handy hatchet. Again, it's good to be careful. You know, try to keep this hand outside. I mean, I've already shortened it a bit.
Yes, it is okay to just whack at it.
And this is about the perfect timing because it is just starting to sprout and will grow new. You know, there's fat tuberous roots here that will grow and increase. And again, you know, add some good compost to that. Again, I'll take. How small do you want to go with it? I suppose, and I'll probably cut this into one more chunk. And yeah, I didn't hit that one right. So is there anything on that? Okay, so
Yeah,
nothing. Didn't do that one quite right. So maybe I'll just leave that as it is and not divide it anymore. But that's a big healthy division.
Oh,
which
yeah.
will be
Yeah.
large this year. I mean, and this one too is a big chunk that will grow just fine. And like Pat Hartman, you know, talked about eating the new shoots, like that size, are I guess a little bigger. Apparently, kind of like I have yet to do that, although I want to try it. You know, see what it tastes like.